Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, namo buddhaya, salam kebaikan, dan tentunya salam sehat untuk semua. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honorable invitees, members and committee of V20, media friends, and participants who are present here with us in Bali, and also those of you who are participating virtually from all around the world. Can we give and start with a round of applause for everyone here today? Yay! Let's keep the energy up, yes, and show some good spirit for this event. Great. Welcome everyone to the side event, Third Development Working Group Meeting, Sustainability Compass, Value-Based Approaches to Overcoming Global Challenges. My name is Melissa Karim. I am an Indonesian. I'm very happy to be here, to be with all of you, to be with this event where today we are going to start the conversation on important values, which will impact decisions making for global leaders in the future. What so-called global challenges is now not just another headline, but a reality that we have to live with in our daily lives. Global inflation, ongoing pandemic threats, climate change, the war, and so much more. And most people, including me, we're just too busy to make ends meet, too busy overcoming our own challenges, too busy thinking about the future that we forgot what's important, the values in our everyday lives, to be passed on to our children so we all can keep on going as humankind, human being. Values are what makes us human being. So today, we're going to enjoy a panel discussion moderated by one of the co-founders of V20, and then we are too going to do a self-check. This is very interesting regarding our personal values, which will be continued with another interesting activity, an assessment that we will all do together as a group. And later on, another co-founder of V20 will explain the vision of V20, which will be continued by a Q&A session. So, let's start the day, our event, by welcoming Dr. Vivi Yulaswati, MSc, the expert staff for the Minister for Social Affairs and Poverty Reduction, the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, Head of Indonesia SDG Secretariat, to deliver her opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Vivi Yulaswati, MSc, on stage.
Ms. Alexandra Askandar, Chair of the Forum Human Capital Indonesia, who joined us virtually. Ms. Pamela Doherty, leads of Values Steering Committee. Ms. Alissa Wahid, Co-Sherpa of V20 2022 Indonesia Organizing Committee. Ms. Meike Malon and Mr. Yuri Yogaswara, the co-chairs for V20 2022 Indonesia Organizing Committee. Distinguished delegates of G20 Development Working Group, distinguished panelists and speakers, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Rahayu. I'm delighted to partake of today's V20 side events for the third Development Working Group of G20 with the theme Sustainability Compass, Value-Based Approaches to Overcoming Global Challenges. Solving global challenges cannot be seen only from a rigid analytical perspective, but the process of internal awareness defining what is right and with strong and clear purpose to build a resilience over the time. Indonesia has developed 2045 visions, in which by that time this country celebrates its 100 years of independence. It is expected that Indonesia will become a high-income country. This isn't only for the sake of economy or jargon for a prosperous country. Implementing National Development Agenda also means achieving sustainable development. Alignment between the content and objective of the 17 goals of SDGs, therefore, has been done in Nawacita, the 7 National Development Agendas. It is also where it links with upholding the state philosophy Pancasila. Panca means 5 principles: the belief in one God, just and civilized humanity, Indonesian unity, democracy through consultations, and social justice for all. Pancasila have since become the blueprint to overcome any challenges of these countries. The relations between the Indonesia's 5 principles and values intertwine starts with us as an individual, community, and a nation to underline the intention, purpose, and behavior to become our own internal compass. The sustainability compass could become one of tools to assist us to interlink and interconnect between and amongst goal of sustainable developments. The interlinkages drive us to balance between the development for people, planet, prosperity, and peace through partnership. In Indonesia SDGs roadmap toward 2030, for example, we assess there are at least 43 targets out of 169 SDGs targets, and there are 17 targets of 9 goals that have strong influence to accelerate the SDGs achievement. The acknowledgement about this is important or relevant by this time because the remaining time achieving 2030 agenda is less than a decade. So ladies and gentlemen, we are now already in a decade of actions. In fact, only 8 years left to ensure that no one left behind. With all the implications from the pandemic, a collective action is needed more than ever. The government certainly can't work alone. It is together with central and local governments, philanthropies, NGOs, communities, universities, businesses, CSOs, youth, and the media, we will find solutions for the issues that impact all of us. Collaborations and concrete action, therefore, are another keywords to achieve the 2030 agenda on time. Here, where good values play important roles, seeing people not as an object to be measured or targeted with numerical values, but as a human individual striving for success. In this regard, the value could play as a grease of collaborations and creating catalytic impact of our efforts. Based on national values assessment in 2020, I think next slide, please. It involves then 50,000 respondents through online surveys because it's already COVID situations. The values that Indonesia has as a current values as well as the desired culture values are gotong royong or a mutual cooperation, and then democratic process and human rights. These values has been grown and nurtured in many communities. In Bali, for example, we could see everywhere the applications of the Trihita Karana. It's a local wisdom which guide the communities to harmonize the people, planet, and prosperity through peace and partnership. The hotel you stay, for example, cannot exceed the height of the coconut trees. The food you eat mainly coming from the organic farming, and you can go everywhere in Bali in peace. So I suggest you to go around, not only stay in Nusa Dua. So ladies and gentlemen, through V20, we should provide evidence-based, human-centered policy solutions to increase awareness of the significance of value-based policy for development. Contribution and recommendation of V20 for G20 2022 should be put in concrete action. I do hope through V20 we gain a deeper understanding of value-based policies demonstrates the significance of the sustainability compass, and produce impact and human-centered policy and recommendations for the G20 head of states. The recommendation value for the priorities issues of development working group, including such issue as recovery and resilience in developing countries, as well as in least developed countries and as IDS, the small islands countries. Also, issues of multilateralism for SDGs decade of action and other priorities that stated within the G20 2022 Bali updates. Lastly, I would like to thank V20 for its commitment and continuous involvement through G20 over the years. Let us observe and participate in this today's event, and while also advancing our sustainability effort. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om Rahayu.
Thank you, Ibu Vivi. You may please return to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, continuing the event, we would now welcome our keynote speaker, Ibu Alexandra Askandar, the Chair of Forum Human Capital Indonesia, Deputy CEO of Bank Mandiri, to deliver her message virtually live from Jakarta, Indonesia. So let's welcome Ibu Alexandra Askandar.
Thank you, Mbak Marisa. Good afternoon, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you for having me as a speaker on today's agenda about sustainability compass, value-based approaches to overcoming global challenges, presented by V20 at G20 Development Working Group third meeting. I would also like to express appreciation for V20's co-chairs, co-sherpas, and all contributing teams for addressing the importance of values as the basis of public policy making in order to contribute in overcoming global challenges. On this occasion, I would like to share my point of view on the importance of values and our approach to implement it in SOEs. Humans have always liked routine. It makes us feel like we are in control. However, change is the only constant in life. As globalization and digitalization progress and change the ways of life for people in every nation, care must be taken that the changes go in a sustainable direction. And as we all currently experiencing and witnessing nowadays, global challenges have impacted businesses around the world. Recent changes in the business landscape are fast, massive, and disruptive. Turbulence in the VUCA era and Industry 4.0 have disrupted business in a lot of aspects, such as human capital management, business competition, and customers' behavior. Fresh new business models with new players are currently emerging as conventional businesses disrupted by digitalization. For example, Netflix with its streaming service that makes it convenient to watch movies anywhere, online transportation companies that help customers conveniently move around from one place to another with just one click away on their smartphone, banking super app that makes it easy to manage our finance through smartphones and so on. Digitalization era has brought state-of-the-art technology and superior competitors in the market. Happening at the same time with those challenges in line with G20's theme, recovers together, recover stronger. Our global economy is currently recovering after the COVID-19 pandemic. We are also facing other inevitable challenges in forms of energy crisis, food crisis, climate change, geopolitical conditions with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and many other issues. Responding to these challenges and conditions, industry must be able to come up with a comprehensive transformation strategy that includes core values transformation. To remain relevant and sustain through these ever-changing challenges, we have to respond it in the best possible manner. So the question is, how do we do that? Values play central role in a lot of aspects in our lives and the sustainability of it. However, the attention given to values seem too low given their central role. It is why, in conjunction with V20's goal, we in SOEs also want to lay particular stress on the importance of values-based policy and practices which can improve sustainability. I personally believe and agree that values play important roles in tackling global challenges. Values matter because they have a direct impact on the long-term viability of any organization. Research by S&P stated that long-living companies that survive in the long run are those with strong core values. These values are the spirit that drives the energy to achieve sustainable and excellent results. This is why having and nurturing values in SOEs are very important. However, the highly diverse values that each of SOE had in their own organization curb our own growth. Responding to this situation, the acceleration of value consolidation in SOE organization was deemed necessary, and as of 1st of July 2020, Akhlak was launched as the core values for all SOEs. In formulating our core values, we took three things into account. First is source of values. Values should not be invented. It should come from within the organization itself. It will allow us to keep and nurture what is already inside us and stay true to our identity. Second, bottom-up and top-down process. A top-down process to building organization values no longer works. For example, COVID-19 has expanded how leaders interact with employees and how coworkers connect with each other. This is why in SOEs, our values were built not only through top-down approach, but also through bottom-up approach. And the third one is relevant. Values must resonate with our needs. When a company or an institution grows, the values we wrote early on might not be completely relevant to where we have arrived. As new opportunities and challenges arise, we may need to update our values. Now that I have explained how we formulated our core values Akhlak, and as a board member of Bank Mandiri, a state-owned company, please allow me to also share how in SOEs we see values as our organization's DNA and how we implement our core value akhlak in the company. But first, I would like to describe what akhlak actually means. We have A for amanah. It is the ability to fully committed to the given trust. K is for competent or competent, is how we continue to learn and develop our abilities. H for harmonious or harmonious. It is how we care for each other and respect differences. And L for loyal. It is how we give our dedication and put the nation's interests above anything else. And A for adaptive, it is how we strive to innovate and stay enthusiastic whenever we encounter changes. And the last one, K for collaborative, it is how we synergize. We believe that if we embed akhlak as our core values into our policy and its making process, it will create a direct effect. Whether it is on people factors such as employee engagement and motivation, or productivity factors such as product and customer service quality, thus helping us to create sustainable organizations that are always ready to overcome global challenges. For example, it can be seen here that since the launching of akhlak in 2020, SOEs have seen significant and positive growth in several aspects. For example, SOEs consolidated net profit after tax experienced 869% growth from 2020 to 2021. SOE's contribution in tax, non-tax revenue, and dividend grew by 68 trillion rupiah from 2020 to 2021. And our debt to capital ratio decreases by 4%. As a strategic partner of Ministry of SOE, Forum Human Capital Indonesia plays a role in supporting core values akhlak in SOEs through several programs. Since the launching of akhlak, Forum Human Capital Indonesia has been participating actively in akhlak program. This year, Forum Human Capital Indonesia collaborated with Ministry of SOE to compose akhlak implementation guidance or akhlak culture journey for all SOEs. Akhlak culture journey strategically explains evaluation guidance for akhlak core values implementation in SOEs so that each SOE can conduct self-assessment to have a comprehensive understanding about its stages. The initial stage is when SOEs have introduced and raised awareness of the employees about akhlak. Next stage, we can see how intervention are actively done by SOEs to the employees through the leaders' commitments, company management, and the use of supporting symbols or attributes. Further than that, acceptance stage is when we can observe how much employees understand, accept, and influence others about akhlak. And lastly, when we can see how akhlak core values are embedded and reflected on employees' daily activities, that encourages conducive work environment that gives positive impacts to the business. With this culture journey, SOEs are able to assess how mature their organizations are towards implementing akhlak and how to strategize further action to fill in the gap. To further activate akhlak all around SOEs, beside akhlak implementation guidance, we also have several programs designed to improve SOEs employees' engagement. Now, I will bring you to see deeper into the implementation of akhlak core values in one of Indonesia's SOE, Bank Mandiri. Around 24 years ago, Bank Mandiri was created out of a merger of 4 banks with different portfolio and culture. So up to this point, Bank Mandiri is already familiar with continuous transformation in terms of business and company culture. In 2020, aligned with the Ministry of SOE, we implemented akhlak as core values of the company. Bank Mandiri is currently aiming for one ultimate goal: to be undisputed market leader, to be preferred financial partner. This is a very big dream for us to achieve, especially with all these challenges in front of us, from the competition with fintechs and digital banks, the changing dynamics of customer behavior, the economic recovery after COVID-19 pandemic, and many other challenges in the financial and banking sectors. To reach our ultimate goal and overcome all these challenges, we believe that core values internalization and implementation play a very important role. After 2 years of implementation, Bank Mandiri has constantly been promoting and embedding the spirit of akhlak on every aspect of the company. From the banking business strategy, we believe that our strengths in business must be supported by strong people, system, and core values-based culture management with prudently aggressive gesture. From the human capital strategy, we enforce akhlak core values to be included in every scope of our human capital policy, including talent management, employee value proposition, leadership development, and so on. So that the understanding of akhlak core values is embedded on each individual's mindset to influence their daily activities. It is strongly emphasized that it must come to our common realization that to accomplish this goal, all Mandirians, that is what we call each other in Bank Mandiri, have to be trustworthy in performing their roles, competent in their fields, harmonious among each other, loyal with the bank and the country, adaptive with changes and challenges, and collaborative to attain our common goals. Although there are still plenty rooms for improvement, these strategies have given positive impacts on Bank Mandiri's business, and it showed in our 2020 mid-year's performance. Bank Mandiri succeeded in achieving 20.2 trillion rupiah net profit, growing 61.7% year-on-year, along with 1,786 billion rupiah asset, growing 13% year-on-year, and 1,138 billion rupiah consolidated credit, growing 12.2% year-on-year. We believe that these numbers are only possible to reach due to our spirit in embedding akhlak in our daily activities. Some of our akhlak internalization approach examples are culture network team to accelerate the implementation of core values as the basis of company culture. Not only being role models, members of this team are also responsible to be change agents that influence others below them. Secondly, we also have sustainable individual performance management system. We aim to generate healthy growth for an organization by balancing achievement with a good working attitude that is measured with akhlaq. Also, we have culture on performance as a learning tool that we are currently developing to set, measure, and monitor the effectiveness of our culture program in supporting business focus to achieve the best performance. We understand that value is an intangible concept that is not easy to grasp, but we must remember that it is also about what is valuable, what is fair, what constitutes right and wrong, who deserves that what, and similar ethical matters. So, although value is not easy to grasp, we must always understand that it plays a central role to our behavior. Understanding that values are able to drive the way in which an organization can tackle global challenges, and then applying our rigor and ingenuity to working with it, it is a better way forward. Thank you. I will now hand back the agenda to Ms. Marisa Karim. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ibu Alexandra Askandar. Terima kasih Ibu Sandra. After listening to her, we're going to continue with our event. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I was first contacted by the organizing committee to be a part of this event, my first reaction was, I never knew that talking about values was a thing. I never knew, as a commoner, that a bunch of people, a bunch of smart people from all around the world annually get together and talk about values. Obviously, I spent too much time on Instagram scrolling about the Kardashians instead of reading, proper news. So I didn't know, but at the same time, I was so excited that I want to be a part of this event, to talk about what's important for us, to talk about values. So, as informed earlier, we will now enjoy an exciting panel discussion about values, introduction of V20, and linkage to SDGs achievements. So without further ado, let's welcome the moderator on stage, one of the co-founders of V20, who flew all the way from Australia to be with us today. So I think he deserves a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Krzysztof Dembek.
Selamat siang, ibu-ibu, bapak-bapak, teman-teman. Unfortunately, this is as far as advice in my Bahasa Indonesia goes. Sorry for that. It's my great honor and pleasure to be here with you on this beautiful island. And I wanted to take you on a short journey to explore three things. To explore the story behind V20s and what V20 is and why it exists. To explore a bit deeper what values are. We have so far already seen the importance of values and the role of values for achieving SDGs. And we've got 8 distinguished guides and panelists that will help us in that journey. And these are Ibu Dimah Al-Sheikh, the founder of V20. Dr. Ghazi Binzagr, founder of V20 and Sherpa of V20 2020. Dr. Mandeep Rai, the co-founder of V20. Ibu Fabienne Michaux, the Director of United Nations SDG Impact. Bapak Damon Gameau, the co-founder of Regent Studios. Ibu Marisa Faccio, the co-chair of V20 2021. Bapak Stefano Petti, the co-chair of V20 2021. And Ibu Alissa Wahid, the co-sherpa of V20 2022, who is here with us in person. Can I invite you here to join us, Ibu Alissa? Thank you. So let's start our journey, and let's start with Ibu Dimah and Dr. Ghazi and Dr. Mandeep. Let's start with the story behind V20. So what is V20 and how did it come to life? Dimah, can I ask you to start?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening, good morning. The story behind V20. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
In 2020, just before the reality of the pandemic hit the world, Saudi Arabia was hosting the G20 with multiple activities happening and multiple engagement group and active citizens showcasing some efforts that could raise up to become a public policy on a global level. And there has been a very active community of practice in Saudi Arabia in collaboration of multiple global entities. Initiatives, beautiful initiatives such as Akhlaq was witnessed. Multiple national values assessment following many methodologies was there. Saudi Arabia is and was a nation that goes into drastic transformation with the support of the most brilliant minds around the world. Then that was a thought regarding taking that practice into a higher level of impacting public policy. As our beautiful host just said, nobody was aware that the talks of values was very common and very much welcomed in multiple entities in the private and public and non-for-profit sector. Things that would enhance the culture, the work environment positively towards achieving better results. We witnessed those practices that could easily be impactful on a public policy level. That would be a values-based policy, evidence-based policy, backed by data and backed by progress and backed by witnessed growth. Then the pandemic hit us. It wasn't an option anymore. Aligning those forces of beautiful mind, the community of practice in the values arena, whether they are social economists, social scientists, leaders of different entities and multiple disciplinaries, need to sit together, need to come to impact the leadership by values, the well-being that would enhance the global community. And then what would be better than the G20 as a platform to adapt those policy recommended. The G20 was the best chosen platform because of its adaptability, because of their ability to communicate on a regular basis, and the result orientation that leads the G20 decisions. Usually you can see results faster than any other engagement group. So we have this tendency to be active on a multiple nation level, just to take it to being an active global citizen within multiple civil societies around the globe. Whether it's a G20 country or non-G20 country, you are welcome if you do believe in the values-based approaches and values enhancement approaches. So we started listen to the voice of the world during our engagement and working groups. What people fear, what guide them. We started to discuss common grounds, what unite, and how embrace the diversity of values. And as you say, as everyone believe, values should come within. It's not something that is enforced, and then we should then focus on what is common. We shed the light on values of environments of rapid technology changes and transformation. And we have heard and shaped the values of people and discussed what can be done to increase responsibility and solidarity at scale. We have learned about values-driven leadership approaches, especially in the time of the transformation. So we have came across many examples in the last 3 years, examples that could be taken to another level, being adapted on multiple, not only nations, but even big entities and big cooperations that would enhance and increase the quality of the life of thousands, if not millions of people. We are happy that this effort is continued, and we are happy that this effort is adaptable regarding the drastic change that the world is going through right now. I hope as a vision for V20 is that it would be the continuous support, not only for the G20, but for the other engagement group in identifying values-based best practices and capitalizing on them, leveraging them to be adapted and enhanced by multiple nations and multiple organizations. Thank you for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best in this event.
Thank you, Dimah. That's a great story. And indeed, probably never more important moment for values than now, when we have to address so many crises on so many different levels. As we said, values are important at all these levels. So, Ghazi and Mandeep, why Values 20? What is so special about values, and what does Value 20 offer to the G20 and to the world?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for this opportunity. Great to see you in Indonesia. Great to see all of you in Indonesia, and thank you for hosting. The value of Gerong Chai as service and consideration of others is how we'd like to start. In the sense that when we're thinking about values, we're really thinking about each and every person and how each and every person can grow into their very best selves. So it's like a virtuous cycle upwards. We start this really by talking about values with our children to create that infrastructure that used to be provided through a rigorous platform of, say, spiritual practices, or it'd be provided by a strong and steady home. But what we're finding is that more and more people have become lost in the plethora of information we're receiving and the lack of a steady grounding and basis. And so in that light, we have, as Dimah has explained, over the course of several years now, started looking at what could this values-based infrastructure look like. And so bringing in values, all kinds of values from all parts of the world, and really celebrating the best of each of us in order to then find how we can interact with one another with greater harmony, greater peace, greater trust, greater responsibility. So it's almost as if when you nourish the core of yourself, you're able to also provide a steady, secure nourishment for the person in front of you. So when we're talking about the larger challenges that the G20 is facing, it's as if we have built a values-based infrastructure to put within the home of the G20, so that when they, or when we together are facing the global challenges, we can do this with the grounding and the wisdom and the compass, so to speak, to know in which direction we together should flow, rather than having a multiple different influences and being conflicted. It produces harmony. And so we've seen that in practice over several years. And our collaboration with G20 really came about because you can see that if you're looking at facets such as the W20 or T20 or Y20, women, technology, youth, then all of this is encompassed within that foundation of the V20. And it's almost as if the G20 would sit upon the V20 and all these other dimensions are then providing the infrastructure.
If I may take that same question and take it from a different angle, an angle that emphasizes the history of the G20. So if we take what Dr. Mandeep is saying, where in many ways, there's something very human to all of us, and it's very much about the core of what we are. And then now attempt to explore why it's important to make that institutional and grow it from the level of individuals to institutions, to the level of nations, and indeed in bridge building between nations until it becomes a global phenomenon. Looking at the history of the G20, it was all about coordinating human efforts to make crises less prevalent, particularly in the financial arena. But it wasn't but a matter of time until we realized that we cannot make financial crises disappear unless we widen the circle and become more holistic. And so in the history of the G20, that was a movement from focusing on finance to economics. And then in a matter of time, we realized we have to be socio-economic about how we address human dilemmas. And in the coordination, once we become socio-economical in the way we want to analyze, it all becomes about human aspirations and human values. And in so doing, the G20 quickly realizes that we must go beyond common interest in aligning economic realities to common values so that we can also achieve better governance in the world, which would make crises disappear. And if we are to become relevant, not just at a high level, but to individuals and communities worldwide, then the efforts of the policies that we make and draft must also translate to a better quality of life. At all three levels, we see we're talking about values that matter for economic prosperity, values that matter for better governance, and values that matter for quality of life. This is why we believe it's very timely to launch the V20 and integrate it into the journey of the G20.
Thank you. That's very profound words and greatly said. At the core, really, we are all about human aspirations, and G20 is about human aspirations, and all these takes values on these three different levels. And B20 provides, as you said, Mandeep, the infrastructure for this, and it's really relevant, therefore, for all aspects of G20 and all the engagement groups. So with that, Fab, can I take it to the Sustainable Development Goals? You lead the United Nations SDG Impact Initiative. What's your take on the importance of values for achieving SDGs? I think we have some technical issues. Can we solve it? It's always the same with technology, isn't it?
Should we help in the meantime with the question?
Okay, so I don't think we will be able to solve that, unfortunately. So let's take it to the next point. And the next point is we have crisis on different levels. We have crossed on different levels the planetary boundaries. And we'll hear from later today the results from an analysis of previous communiques of the G20, when the acknowledgement of this and the acknowledgement of this core, that in core it is really about human aspirations, hasn't always been that pronounced. What really helps us realize that is regeneration. And our next panelists couldn't, unfortunately, be here in live with us because of the latest changes in his schedule. But he left us a message, a video message, about regeneration and how regeneration can be used for together within values for achieving SDGs. Can we have the message from Damon, please?
Hi everybody, my name is Damon Gameau, and I just wanted to quickly talk about what regeneration means to me and why I think it's really our only meaningful pathway forward. I think we've gone past our ability to live sustainably. We've done too much damage now. We actually need to regenerate and repair the damage that we've done. So sustainability is a lovely goal, but regeneration is how we're going to get there. And the great metaphor obviously is what's happening in agriculture. We move away from fighting nature, controlling nature, to working with nature, rebuilding the soils, improving the quality of the foods that we produce, holding more water, creating more biodiversity. That regenerative practice that's happening in that particular industry really needs to happen across a whole range of industries if we're going to get to the places we want to get to. I've just taken a film called Regenerating Australia right around the country to 62 towns. And we based it on a 4-month listening campaign, interviews with a really diverse group of Australians. And the number one thing we heard was that people were sick of having top-down decisions made about their regions. They were sick of not having a say when they understand the complexity and the nuance of their particular place and what needs to be done in their particular place. So given we've seen the fragility of this global system, we know it was designed in a period of very stable environment. We're now moving into a much more unpredictable environment. We really need to think about how we do empower people at the local level, localise without tipping into nationalism, but really empower them with energy sovereignty, food sovereignty, the products they make. It really is the only way forward. How we get them to coordinate and link and stay connected to each other, but also empower them in their communities. That's the number one thing that came through in our interviews. And we've had so many solutions submitted off the back of this film of people developing their own community ideas, their own community solutions, and they're phenomenal because people understand what needs to happen and the values of their unique place. And they're all different. Every single town has its own set of values. So why not empower them to make the decisions that are right for their area? Cheers.
Thank you. So this is really pretty powerful message. And regeneration is not only about restoring ecosystems, obviously, but really regenerating social, environmental, and economic life. Regeneration really shows us the way of how can we really achieve SDGs and the goal and the targets related to SDGs. And it provides a great platform for incorporating and using the power and leveraging the power of the very local values that are so diverse across the world. And I think Indonesia is, probably one of the best places to show how diversity can also unite. Regeneration is really a very good guide of how. And this is, I think, very important because often, at least in my work, I have met people who are really passionate about SDGs, are really passionate about sustainability, but are not so sure about how can we get there. And I think, regeneration really offers that clear path and links to the values and how to use them, the diversity of local values for unity also. And we embrace that very much in V20. And we also have a history of already in our short life of using and leveraging local values. And Marisa and Stefano, can I ask you to tell us a bit more about that? What you were the co-chairs of Values 20 last year. What did you do? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for inviting us to this wonderful event. So let me begin to answer your question, Chris, by sharing that during the V20 summit last October in Rome, we launched in Italy the Entrepreneurship Sports Generation. This is a great international project to select and promote startups through a competitive mechanism, like a large tournament made entirely online. This year, V20 will launch this competition in Indonesia too for the first time. So Indonesia will join the other 160 countries that are already part of it, including India, the country from which this competition started, thanks to its creator, Mr. Shiv Khemka, one of the V20 founders and the executive chairman of the Global Education and Leadership Foundation. Among the characteristics to be selected for this competition, the startups which participate must demonstrate their awareness regarding the impact that their company has in terms of sustainability. They need to explain how they intend to contribute to the advancement of the 17 sustainable goals through their people, products, services, partnerships, and supply chain. Right now, both in Indonesia and in Italy, we are in the process of selecting the startups that will complete and go to the national finals in September. The winners of the national level will then attend the Confederation finals in October, that is Europe for Italy and Asia for Indonesia. And the winners of this level will go to the global finals in December. As you can see, this project is intended as a global, national, and local human architecture. Our partnership ecosystems will promote and support active community engagement to stimulate conscious entrepreneurship at scale. In fact, this is an initiative that also promotes the creation of a network of collaboration at national and regional levels, with corporations which sustain startups in different ways, governments, institutions, academia, incubators, investors, and media. As Damon explained, we too strongly believe that getting to sustainability is possible if communities are empowered so that they can find local solutions while they are interconnected also to global communities. It becomes therefore clear why it is essential that at every level, global, institutional, national, and individual level, we become increasingly aware of what each stakeholder believes in, the values on which we make our decisions, inform and determine the impact we have not only on our businesses, on the field in which we operate, but also on the whole world. Now, Stefano, could you please describe the wider context in which the competition among innovative startups was launched last year?
Sure, Marisa. So let me zoom out for a moment to share what happened in 2021 when we were co-chairing V20 links to some of the key concepts we've been talking about so far in this panel. So as we know, 2021 was the second year humanity had to deal with the COVID-19, which was really an unpredicted, invisible threat that has disrupted the lives of billions of people, urging institutions and communities to face a sanitary emergency that has impacted socioeconomic relationships and which generated tragic outcomes all over the world. The challenges posed by COVID-19 have been addressed by mobilizing intellectual and financial resources that are highlighted really how different backgrounds can work together for common objectives. We believe that coordinated cooperation like this was possible because the work community is rooted in values, universal values that allowed, in this case, a swift response to this unexpected tragic global challenge. Now, could governments, institutions, and communities do better and be more effective in dealing with this crisis? Well, quite certainly so. However, to be fair, during 2021, we witnessed several examples of what can happen when actions are driven by some of these universal values and the positive impact this can have. Let's take value of sharing, for example, which concerns the joint use of tangible and non-tangible resources. There are lots of examples of how countries, institutions, local communities, the civil society, individuals came together around this value in the past 2 years, made decisions, and took actions that demonstrated the clear intent to help each other and the ability to play a non-zero-sum game for the greater good. We could mention global data sharing to contain and manage the diffusion of the virus, for example, sharing of resources between governments. In my hometown, during the hardest moments, people started to share food, masks, and other goods, something unseen before. And I'm sure all of us here could share amazing stories like this, stories of the unbelievable that becomes real because people understand that even though we are all different, values can really unite us. And there is no doubt that although the link with the SDGs was not necessarily explicit in this case, the concerted action driven by the value of sharing produced a direct contribution to good health and well-being and to reduce inequalities, two of the SDGs as we know. And that to me raises a very important question of how much more impactful we could be if we were a little bit more explicit and intentional in this process. Now, I picked the value of sharing since in 2021. It was, in fact, one of the key driving values that were identified to support the three priorities set by the Italian G20 presidency, which were people, planet, and prosperity. The other two values that we focused on in 2021 were integrity and solidarity. We are convinced that translating values into actions remains a fundamental thing to address global issues before the international community, including those linked with the SDGs. And as V20, we strongly support the need to continue the promotion of multilateral debates and decisions within the value framework, which blends our cultural heritages, institutional systems, and global aspirations for a world in which, in fact, no one is left behind wherever we live. So, Chris, back on to you.
Thank you. So it really shows that, again, it's very aligned with what we heard from Damon, that empowering communities and bringing these local values and putting them together with the universal values, like sharing, what Stefano said, is really so powerful across the world. And another thing is V20 is not only about policy advice, it's not only about constructing and advising working values-based policy, but it is also about action and converting words into action. We've seen that in Italy, and we are continuing it here in Indonesia. So, Alissa, can you tell us a bit more about what we are doing this year?
Okay. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for all the speakers before me. Interesting. Very interesting topic. Value is a very interesting topic. And I'm sorry, Chris, I'm going to just go off a little bit. I just remember when talking about how to bring traditional values or local values, local wisdom into a bigger value system, I remember one principle that we believe in the traditional Islamic community in Indonesia. It's called, Dr. Asif, please correct me if I'm wrong. Al-mukhafadho ala qadimis solih wa ahdu bil jadidil aslah. If we have a tradition, a good tradition, we should keep it, but we should not be afraid to embrace modernity if it brings better to community. So when we talk about values, what we need to do right now is aligning, realigning, and always evolving the values that we are currently employing to govern our lives.
Yep.
So the question after Italy, the V20 2022 Indonesian presidency team, with the help, of course, with the co-founders and the international communities, we are thinking on how to convert this ideation, conversations, into real actions.
Yep.
That's the challenge, and that is why this is the focus of our work in 2022. We know that our complex world is like Bu Vivi mentioned, it's interrelated, interlinked, and this is a very complex one. There is no single factor to any context, and that is why we really need to understand that the system, this complex system, would largely determined by the mental models of the actors of the system, which is not single actor. That is why we need to bring all these actors of the system to make sure that we can comprehend, to develop a comprehensive values that would guide us into the future that we want in 2030 in regards to SDGs. So if we employ system thinking to talk about our system, then we would need to address the mental models of the actors, and these mental models is, of course, will be founded on the values, whether the values are clear values or irrelevant values for the common context, or whether we need to transform our values. That's the question. Like, for example, no one left behind is a mental model based on the values of inclusiveness and justice. Right? So in 2022, the V20 team is employing sustainability compass to make sure that we cover 4 dimensions that we feel extremely important to the future of the world. We know compass. Compass is about what's north, west, south, east. So north we exchange that into nature. W is for welfare, S is for well-being, sorry, well-being, S is for society, and E is for economy. We believe that these 4 dimensions are most urgent and important dimensions that we need to address and to deep dive on the values so that we can move forward to a better world. And this for compasses for what is the
dimensions,
English word for the dimensions
yeah.
is of course aligned with SDGs goals, the 17 SDGs goals, and also the principles, the pillars of SDGs. The way we do the sustainable compass is by engaging stakeholders and actors from these 4 dimensions, bringing them together to collaborate. This is one of the pillars of SDGs, partnership, and of course one of the goals. Our hope is to bring these experts from different backgrounds, from global landscape, to work together on the values for well-being, the values on taking care of nature, the values in society that we want to develop in society, and the values in economic system. Hopefully, by bringing all these collaborators together, we will come up with a true and tested and effective, comprehensive, workable values that will lead us to a better future. And hopefully, when we finish the communique, we will present that communique to the head of states of G20, and hoping that those values will be implemented in the policies that they're making. This is what we're doing right now. I know this is very huge and ambitious, but I think with the engagement of so many people, so many experts, we're hoping
I very
to
much
contribute.
That's great. I really agree. And you know, it doesn't matter that it's huge. Actually, it should be huge because we are facing huge challenges that we have never seen.
Yeah.
So you know, the vision and the huge goals are something we definitely should pursue, and they should not scare us. And what you say, I think it's great to see also, because we talk a lot about collaborations and we talk a lot about partnerships and working together, but indeed, at the end of the day, it doesn't always work, and people don't know how to do that. And you know, SDG 17 is probably a good example of that, where you know it's a collaboration, but it's probably the least addressed, just because it's so difficult to do. So it's great to hear that V20 is providing a tool for that.
Yes, because talking about values are always so, sometimes it gets so abstract, and how to put that into action. But we have an example from Ibu Alexandra, yeah?
Yes.
How to put values into a business institution. Hopefully, if we can do that in business, then we can do that in society, especially for achieving the sustainable development goals.
Yes, and another thing is the systems perspective.
Yes.
Yes, because yeah, everything, and again, this is something we often hear, everything is interconnected. We've seen the graph that, that was like a massive spider webs together, right, when we connect all the targets. And it's so difficult to enact this and really act upon this. But again, there is a clear path here with, you know, using values as building and realizing that they are actually building blocks of the mental models that the actors of the system have. And through these values, we can preserve, change, and combine as we need to address all the challenges that we are facing. And I think this is really very, very important point, and an incredible value that Values 20 offers, right? So that's really fantastic. So, you know, summarizing what you've said and what we've heard from other people from all other panelists and our guides, really, I would say V20 is like a gelling agent, right? That really provides tools and perspective and frameworks for bringing and knowing how to bring different actors together, and how to see the different systems and links between the different systems and act upon them. Something that is really very, very difficult to do otherwise, right? So that's the core thing, and it is converting also words into action in that way, and is relevant for every aspect of really of G20.
Yeah. Can I ask? Can I add something to this?
Of course.
I just remember this morning my mentor used to say that the longest distance to a long-term goal is the shortcut. We face many challenges in this world because we're taking too much shortcuts, and we need to go back to our fundamental values, because that is the way to sustainability.
I very much agree, and I would just add one last bit to it, which is time frame.
Time frame.
Yes, and that's a lot of, and I think a lot of values have time frame embedded in them. And another issue, very, very serious and universal issue that we have, is that we have become extremely short-sighted. So, and values will help us elongate the time frame that we use for decision making. And if we only achieve these, we are really well advanced on achieving SDGs, and if we combine it with the path of regeneration, it's even more powerful. So, terima kasih. I think
Terima kasih, Pak Chris.
we will leave it there. Thank you very much.